Nothing in my 12 years as a federal investigator prepared me for the call that shattered my sleep at midnight. My heart pounded as my frail father sobbed into the receiver from a precinct holding room. He explained through heavy breaths that my brother and his calculating wife had trapped him, fabricated a violent assault with a bat, and turned the police against him while my brother stood by in cold silence. My professional instincts kicked in immediately as I instructed my father to remain completely quiet and refuse to sign any paperwork. Grabbing my badge and jacket, I sped through the dark city streets toward the precinct. My mind raced as I realized my brother was deliberately helping his wife execute a calculated framing scheme. They wanted my father locked away so they could take control of his wealth, but they made a catastrophic mistake. Walking into the precinct, I immediately noticed the bright fluorescent lights reflecting off my exhausted father sitting alone on a hard plastic chair. Nearby, my sister-in-law Delilah stood at the desk, wiping away fake tears and making dramatic hand gestures to the duty officer. She claimed my father had suffered a sudden breakdown and demanded he be placed under an emergency psychiatric hold before he harmed anyone else in the family. Before I could intervene, my mobile phone vibrated with a call from my aunt. She urgently explained that my brother Justin was already calling extended family members, claiming our father had lost his mind due to sudden aggressive dementia. Justin was carefully manipulating the narrative so relatives would pressure me to accept a medical confinement. I ended the call quickly, realizing the full scope of their calculated plan to isolate my father forever. I approached the desk and firmly requested an immediate transfer of my father to a private room alongside a duty lawyer. Officer Higgins scoffed dismissively, telling me to sit down and let local authorities handle domestic disputes without outside interference. Refusing to be ignored, I reached into my coat and displayed my gold federal badge directly on the counter. The atmosphere in the room shifted instantly as the officer sat up straight and dropped his pen. I ordered Higgins to secure my father's house as an active scene and record all incoming statements officially under federal protocol. With the officer now complying, I walked over to help my weak father stand up from the plastic chair. As he leaned on me, his heavy sweater sleeve pulled back, exposing thick dark rings on both of his wrists. Seeing those severe restraint marks altered everything, forcing me to divert straight to the hospital. At the emergency room, the attending doctor performed a comprehensive evaluation on my father while medical monitors hummed steadily in the background. The physician pulled me aside and revealed that my father was severely dehydrated and had been deprived of essential daily medication for days. Furthermore, the deep hematomas on his wrists were days old, perfectly matching the pattern of industrial zip ties rather than a recent altercation with a bat. I stepped into the hallway and called Officer Higgins directly, warning him that ignoring documented long-term elder abuse carried severe legal consequences. I stated that failing to preserve the premises immediately would result in swift internal affairs reports and prosecution. Realizing his liability, Higgins quickly changed his tone and promised to send a sergeant to secure the property. Returning to the room, my father leaned in and whispered that they had locked him away for days. Leaving my father under medical care, I used his house key to enter his quiet residence under the overcast sky. The hallway smelled of heavy stagnation and weeks of neglect. Moving straight to his bedroom, I noticed a fresh heavy-duty deadbolt installed on the exterior of the doorframe. The hardware was brand new, proving someone had installed it specifically to lock an elderly man inside his room against his will. Justin suddenly appeared at the end of the corridor, his face tightening with anger as he confronted me. I calmly stated that I possessed proper legal authority from our father to secure the property and would not tolerate interference. Ignoring his aggressive posture, I walked into the kitchen and began inspecting the overflowing trash bin under the counter. Near the bottom of the liner, I discovered a thick stack of freshly shredded legal documents. I spent 10 minutes carefully arranging the paper strips across the kitchen island like a complex puzzle. It was a shredded copy of the original will of my father, sliced precisely through the asset distribution clauses. Beneath the strips lay a newly stamped power of attorney form bearing a shaky, altered signature. A quick database check revealed that the notary seal stamped on the bottom had expired 3 years ago, confirming outright forgery. The next morning, I brought the fraudulent paperwork directly to Agent Brenda, our senior forensic analyst. She ran the document details through official registries, confirming that the seal was completely invalid and forged. We immediately issued formal requests for the bank records of my father, receiving a comprehensive transaction history within the hour. The files revealed a sudden, massive transfer of $250,000 out of his primary savings account. Tracking the digital paper trail, Brenda showed me how the funds moved into a shell company before splitting into smaller amounts. The money was routed straight into multiple online gambling accounts registered under the name of my brother Justin. They were actively laundering the lifetime savings of my father to fund a private gambling habit while keeping him locked in a room. The evidence was turning a family dispute into a major financial felony. Brenda expanded the search parameters across national civil registries using the identity records of Delilah. The search results populated quickly, revealing that Delilah had used 3 separate aliases across multiple states over the previous decade. In every instance, she targeted wealthy elderly victims, secured legal control over their assets, and vanished as soon as the bank accounts were drained. My brother had brought a seasoned predator into our family circle. Further investigation into real estate databases revealed an active listing for the primary home of my father. The property had been placed on the market as a private sale less than 48 hours prior, utilizing another forged authorization form. They were attempting to sell the house right out from underneath my father while he was trapped in a hospital bed. Armed with this overwhelming documentation, I headed straight to the office of the district attorney. District Attorney Vance reviewed the physical evidence, bank records, and forensic reports in complete silence. Recognizing the severity of the elder exploitation and forgery, she personally walked the case to a judge for immediate authorization. Within 2 hours, we secured a signed search warrant granting full legal authority to raid the commercial office of my brother and seize all digital hardware. I assembled a state police team to execute the order without delay. We arrived at the office building, securing all exits before stepping onto the main floor. Justin sat at his desk in the middle of processing real estate transfer paperwork, freezing in shock as federal badges surrounded his workspace. Delilah emerged from an inner room, smiling arrogantly and asserting that we would find no proof because the security cameras at the house had been broken for a week. I looked at her calmly and replied that we were not interested in local hard drives. Our technical team bypassed the disabled local recorders and targeted the cloud server linked to a hidden wireless device inside the home. Delilah lost all color in her face as she realized that automated cloud backups capture network activity independent of local hardware. The hidden device had recorded crystal clear footage of Delilah staging the fake assault, brandishing the bat herself, and locking my father away while Justin watched without moving a finger. The digital evidence completely dismantled their entire fabrication, leaving them without any defense against severe criminal charges. Law enforcement officers placed both Justin and Delilah in handcuffs, leading them out of the building to face grand jury indictments for grand larceny, forgery, and elder abuse. Blocking the unauthorized sale of the home restored full legal ownership and financial security back to my father. Sitting beside my father in his peaceful living room weeks later, I watched him regain his strength and smile for the first time in months. The painful betrayal by my own brother left deep emotional scars, but it also reinforced the true meaning of loyalty and protection. True family is defined by actions of love and integrity rather than blood, and justice will always prevail when light is brought to the dark.